Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jay, and I have a passion for making beautiful, nutritious homemade food. My goal for this channel is to show you how to get back to the basics. I will teach you how to make simple but delicious foods for you and your family. I will teach you how to make the staples in which I believe every household should know. Over this past year, I've done a lot of research and tests in my kitchen on how to make our home more self-sufficient. Join me on this journey as we learn together how to get back to living simply at home. Today we are making one of my family's staples, sourdough bread. Now this recipe is absolutely delicious, super easy to follow, and very basic ingredients. We're going to start off with 400 grams of all-purpose flour. You're more than welcome to play around with different flours here, but this is just the ones that I chose. To your 400 grams of all-purpose flour, we're going to go ahead and add 100 grams of whole wheat flour. And like I said, you're more than welcome to play around. This is just what I found to be the most basic, simple, and easy to find. I really want to emphasize that the kitchen is all about having fun and experimenting. So if there's a certain time that doesn't work for you, or certain ingredients that you might not have, experiment and enjoy the process. To my flour mixture, I'm going to go ahead and add 200 grams of sourdough starter, followed by 10 grams of salt and 350 grams of water. Now that we have everything in our bowl, we're going to go ahead and combine all of these ingredients together. Here I am using a bread whisk, however you're more than welcome to use a wooden spoon or just simply your hands. We're going to combine it until it becomes a nice shaggy dough. As you can see, it's still quite a mess. However, I promise you, once we get to the end of it, it's going to be a beautiful elasticy dough. We're going to go ahead and cover that with a wet tea towel as to not form a crust over top of the dough ball. Over the next few hours, I'm going to perform between 4 and 6 stretch and folds every 15 minutes to half an hour. But if it doesn't work with your schedule, or you're just simply busy, I don't want you to stress too much over the time. Over the next few clips, you're going to see the elasticity get better, the dough ball becoming more uniform. It will still be springy, slightly tacky, and soft to the touch. I know at this point it's going to be very tempting to add some extra flour, but please resist the urge. You're going to want a sticky, tacky dough. Now that we've done all of our stretch and folds, we're going to go ahead and do our bulk fermentation. At this point, I let it sit on the counter for about 7 hours. Once your dough ball has had a chance to rest between 5 and 8 hours-ish, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to set aside my dough, and I'm going to lightly flour the surface. Now that the surface is lightly floured, we're going to go ahead and very gently take our dough ball out of the bowl. Make sure to be very careful when doing this as to not lose any of those beautiful air pockets. I'm going to go ahead and use the tension from the counter to do a series of stretch and folds to make a nice taut dough ball. As you can see here, my dough ball is sticky and tacky, but resist the urge to add extra flour. It's definitely okay. Just keep going and do the best you can trying to get it in a nice, taut, uniform dough ball. Here I'm using the dough and how sticky it is to my advantage. I'm going ahead and creating a really tight ball. You want to make sure that surface tension is really tight, as later on that's going to help us when we create a beautiful pattern. Now I'm taking a well-floured banneton and placing my dough ball in there, just giving it a few more pulls to the center and make sure it's nice and taut. If you don't have a banneton, that's totally fine. You can use a bowl with a well-floured tea towel. After you have your dough ball ready, we're going to go ahead and put that in the fridge overnight. I put mine in the fridge around 8 o'clock and then took it out about 7 o'clock in the morning. In the morning, I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 500 degrees Celsius. I'm going to go ahead, put my entire cast iron with the lid on in there. Ideally, it should be in there for about an hour, but you don't have to worry about being too fussy. Now that the oven is preheating, we're going to go ahead and cut some parchment paper, just to be slightly bigger than the dough ball that you have. From there, I decided on this day to make a pumpkin. This is where you can get creative. You can even just do a few simple rough cuts and it will still look fantastic and rustic. To make a pumpkin, I'm grabbing some butcher's twine, then cutting equal lengths to make sure they are large enough to go around the dough ball. Be as gently as possible as we don't want to lose any of those precious bubbles. Mine was a little sticky here as I didn't have enough flour, but that's okay. Here, I'm going to go ahead and lightly flour the surface, as later on this will help us when we're creating our pattern. Once we have the desired amount of flour, I'm going to go ahead and just brush off any extra. Now, in order to create that really cute pumpkin shape, I'm going to go ahead with my butcher's twine, line all of the pieces of twine up in the center, and tie them in the middle. Here I'm going to use a really sharp blade, but you're more than welcome to use a knife. I'm going to go ahead and create my beautiful pattern. This is my favorite part where you get to get creative and just create whatever design you would like. Now that our oven is preheated and nice and hot, I'm going to carefully take the cast iron out of the oven. From here, I'm going to very gently place the dough ball inside of the cast iron. And finally, I'm going to go ahead and add a few ice cubes just to create a nice lift in the bread. Now that everything's ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and place this in the oven for 14 minutes with the lid on. Sometimes when I want a more rustic looking loaf of bread, I will make a few simple cuts in it, but I want to create something called an ear. So what I would do is take it out at the 7-minute mark and just give it another cut in the same spot. This will create a beautiful fold over. You want to make sure to add the lid back on and the remainder of the time back in the oven. However, this pumpkin I want to be pretty uniform, so this time I'll avoid that. At the 14-minute mark, I will lower the temperature to 475 and take the lid off. I will also take the twine off so it doesn't continue to bake and get stuck in the loaf. Now that the oven has been preheated to 475 degrees Celsius, I'm going to go ahead and load the loaf back in the oven without a lid on for another 14 minutes. You're more than welcome to leave it in there a bit longer to make the exterior more hard and blistery, but my family prefers a soft dough, so I pull it at this point. As you can see here, I'm doing a few last minute things and just taking off the twine. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and to finish off this beautiful, cute little pumpkin, I'm going to go ahead and take a knife, just create a little slit at the top, take an almond and place it at the top. You're more than welcome to get creative here. You could use a pretzel or even a cinnamon stick. And there you have it, how to make a simple, homemade, rustic sourdough bread. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment below. I'm excited to begin this new journey with you all on living simply at home.